All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to tackle one of the most important and, let's be honest, sometimes intimidating parts of any research project, the literature review. But forget the stress, okay? I'm going to walk you through a super clear 5-step guide that will help you actually master this thing.
So, does this look familiar? That feeling of being totally overwhelmed by like a mountain of articles, not even knowing where to start? Trust me, you are not alone. It can feel impossible, but I promise you, there's a better way. It's all about reframing how you see the task.
I want you to completely change your mindset. You are not just a student summarizing what other people wrote. No, you're a detective. You're an explorer. You're a map maker. Your job is to survey this landscape of research, figure out what's already known, and, this is the exciting part, find the blank spaces on the map. That's where your work comes in.
So, here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the challenge itself. Then I'll lay out that clear 5-step process. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of gathering your evidence, building your argument, and finally, showing off your own unique contribution.
First up, let's talk about the challenge. My whole goal here is pretty simple. I want to take you from that feeling of being totally overwhelmed to feeling organized, confident, and in control.
And how are we going to do that? With a clear, proven process. This isn't just some theory. This is the exact roadmap that experienced researchers used to get through this efficiently. It's the playbook for success.
And here it is, the whole journey on one slide. 5 simple steps. Define your scope, search systematically, organize your sources, analyze and synthesize, and then write and revise. So let's jump into that first chunk, shall we? Gathering your evidence. So this first phase is all about gathering your evidence. You can think of these first 3 steps as laying a rock-solid foundation for a house. Seriously, if you get this part right, everything that comes next gets so much easier. Step 1. Define your scope. I can't say this enough. This is the most critical part of the whole process. Before you even think about reading an article, you have to know what you're looking for. It all starts with your research question. Then you brainstorm keywords, and this is key, you set clear rules. Like, are you only looking at studies from the last 5 years, only in English? This step is basically your filter. It's what keeps you from drowning in a sea of irrelevant papers.
Okay, next up, your search has to be systematic. This isn't about just randomly Googling things. You got to use the major academic databases. And here's a huge pro tip for you. It's called snowballing. When you find that one perfect article, that gem, go straight to its bibliography. It's basically a treasure map pointing you to all the other important work in the field. Oh, and please, keep a record of what you search for. It sounds boring, but it will save you so much time later.
Now for step 3, getting organized. You've got this pile of articles. What do you do with them? Well, let me introduce you to the secret weapon that pretty much every pro researcher uses. It's called the synthesis matrix.
Now take a look. I know, it might just look like a simple spreadsheet, but this thing is so powerful. For every paper, you log the basics: author, findings, methods. But the real magic, this secret sauce, is in this last column: themes and gaps. Look at how both Smith and Chen's work point to theme X, and see how Chen and Jones both highlight gap Y. You're not just storing information here. You're actively starting your analysis. You're mapping the conversation as you go.
Okay, the foundation is laid, your evidence is organized. Now for the part where you really get to think. We're building your argument. Step 4 is where you stop being a collector of information and start becoming a creator of actual insight.
This is the detective work I was talking about. You're looking at your matrix and you're hunting for clues. What are the big trends? Where do these experts disagree with each other? And the million-dollar question, what are they not talking about? That's the gap. That's your opening. These clues become the backbone of your entire paper. Now listen very carefully, because this is the single biggest mistake people make. A literature review that just says, Smith said this, and then Chen said that, and then Jones found this other thing, that's just a book report. That is not a literature review. Instead, you have to build a thematic narrative. You organize your writing around the ideas, the trends, the debates. You'd have a section on Theme X, where you talk about Smith and Chen. The themes are the main characters of your story, not the authors. And here is the absolute bottom line. Every single sentence, every theme, every argument you make has to serve one single purpose: to build the case for why your research is needed. You're telling a story that leads the reader step by step right to the doorstep of your own research question.
And that brings us to the grand finale, your research contribution. Step 5 is where you bring it all home. The writing and revising, this is where you finally tell that story you've been uncovering and you plant your flag in the academic landscape.
So, look, if you forget everything else from today, just remember these 2 things. Rule number 1, write thematically, not author by author. Each paragraph should be about an idea, using different authors as evidence. And rule number 2, always connect back to your own research. Everything you write should be building the case for why your work is the essential next step.
Because in the end, that's what a literature review is. It's the first chapter of a brand new story. And it's your story. You've mapped the world as it is, so now you've earned the right to explore what could be. So the real question isn't just, what did everyone else say? It's, what new and amazing story will your research tell?